Hare Krishna, Tanam devotees, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Hari Bol to Ramchandra Prabhu, Pawan Prabhu, Aarti Mataji, all leading the chanting this morning. Let's start with our Mangalacharan. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshitarine जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. All right, so in this auspicious month of March, as we say, it's the March of Mahaprabhu, so that we can march past Maya, back home, back to Godhead. So we're going to celebrate Gaur Purnima tomorrow. So we are preparing our consciousness to welcome Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So today, this week, let's sing this beautiful prayer by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya as the darling son of Shachi Mata, Sri Shachi Sutashtakam. Let me share the screen. Okay. नवगौरवरं नवपुष्पसरं नवभावधरं नवलास्यपरं नवहास्यकरं नवहिमवरं प्रणमामि शचीसुत गौरवरं नवप्रेमयुतं नवनीतशुचं नववेशकृतं नवप्रेमरसं नवधाविलसच्छुभ प्रेममयं प्रणमामि शचीसुत गौरवरं हरिभक्तिपरं हरिनामधरं करजप्यकरं हरिनामपरं नयने सततं प्रणयाश्रुधरं प्रणमामि शचीसुत गौरवरं सततं जनताभव तापहरं परमार्थपरायण लोकगतिं नवलेहकरं जगत्तापहरं प्रणमामि शचीसुत गौरवरं निजभक्तिकरं प्रिय चारुतरं नटनर्तननागर राजकुलं कुलकामिनी मानस लास्यकरं प्रणमामि शचीसुत गौरवरं करतालवलं कलकण्ठरवं मृदुवाद्यसुवीनिकया मधुरं निजभक्तिगुणावृतनाट्यकरं प्रणमामि शचीसुत गौरवरं युगधर्मयुतं पुनर्नन्दसुतं धरणीसुचित्रं भव भावोचितं तनुध्यानचितं निजवासयुतं प्रणमामि शचीसुत गौरवरम् अरुणं नयनं चरणं वसनं वदने स्खलितं स्वकनामधरं कुरुते सुरसं जगतजीवनं प्रणमामि शचीसुत गौरवरं प्रणमामि शचीसुत गौरवरं प्रणमामि शचीसुत गौरवरं हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे श्री शचीशुत अष्टकम की जय। शीला सार्वभौम भट्टाचार्य की जय। जगत गुरु शीला प्रभुपाद की जय। Okay, anybody would like to read the translation?
Yes. Can read problems.
Hari Bol. Yes, Sangeeta Mataji, please.
His complexion is the hue of fresh cream tinged with kumkum. He is the ever fresh coffee whose shores arouse of newly blossoming blossoming flowers. He bears newer and newer moods of emotional ecstasies. He is fond of performing novel dances. He makes every new jokes that cause much laughter. His brilliant laughter is likely freshly cast gold. I bow down to Gaura, the beautiful son of Mother Sasi. He is endowed with the ever-fresh love of Godhead. His radiant luster is like the color of fresh butter. His fresh attire is arranged in ever new fashions. He releases ever new melodies of love for Krishna. He shines in ninefold new ways while executing the ninefold processes of devotion. He is permitted with a most auspicious loving nature. I bow down to Gaura, the beautiful son of Mother Sasi. He is he is absorbed in devotion to Sri Hari. He maintains the chanting of name of Hari. While chanting, he counts the holy names on the fingers of his hands. He is addicted to the name of the Hari. He always has tears of love welling in his eyes. I bow down to Gaura, the beautiful son of Mother Sasi. He is always removing the sufferings of material existence for mankind. He is the goal of life for persons who are dedicated to their supreme interest. He inspires men to become like honeybees, eager for the honey of Krishna Prema. He removes the burning fever of material world. I bow down, Gaura, the beautiful son of Mother Sasi. He motivates pure devotions unto himself. He is the most attractive to his beloved servitors. By his dramatic dancings, he exhibits the characteristics of the king of paramours. He causes the minds of beautiful young village women to dance. I bow down to Gaura, the beautiful son of Mother Sasi. He plays kartalas as his throat emits sweet melody sounds. The vibrant notes of the veena are softly played. He thus inspired the devotees to perform dramatic dancing that is infused with aspects of his own devotional services. I bow down to Gaura, the beautiful son of Mother Sisi. He is accompanied by the Sankirtan movement, which is a religious practice for the age of Kali. He is the son of Nanda Maharaj come again. He is the extraordinarily brilliant ornament of the art. His preaching the mood is suitable adapted to the cycle of birth and death. His consciousness is fixed in the meditation on his own form of the Krishna. He is always accompanied by his transcendental abode. I bow to Gaura, the beautiful son of Gaura. His eyes, the soles of his feet, and his clothing are radius like the color that heralds the shining sun. As he utters his own names, his voice flutters, his awakens a sweet flavor of life throughout the universe. I bow down to Gaura, the beautiful son of Mother Sasi.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
Angita Mataji. Anything you want to share?
Wow.
Like,
Yes,
mhm.
that and I learned from I learned from that this translation that how you you involve yourself in the spiritual path and totally surrender on the lotus field of Krishna. That in every time, like when you are when we are in going to the chanting, when we are going to the dancing, and when we wear the clothes, and when we that sing the songs, and uh, and all these things, uh, we just uh, pray to, we just surrender ourselves on the feet of the God. After that, I think we we will be pure in our mind. Thank you,
Mm.
Prabhuji. At Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Mataji. Yes. Basically, dovetailing all our services or engaging all our senses in the service of the Lord. Yes, whatever we want to. Some people like to sing, some people like to dance, some people like to eat. Everything is available. Mahaprabhu has made it so easy that if you want to eat, yes, you offer prasad, you offer bhoga to the Lord, and then you eat, right? So you satisfy your tongue, your taste that way. Somebody like to sing and dance, yes, they can do that. Somebody likes to look at beautiful things. That's why we decorate the deities very nicely in our temples. Or when we look at them, our eyes, it's like a feast for our eyes, right? So the flowers that we smell, that's a fragrance for our nose, right? So like that, everything, our mind can completely absorbed in the devotional service by meditating on the form of the Lord, on his pastimes, on his Leela. So like that, and that is what the message that Srila Prabhupada also was giving yesterday as he was traveling all over 13 plus centers across the US and Europe, and he was being asked by the reporters, how to engage, and he said that is the topmost occupational duty. Nitya yukto pasate. So everything engaging as completely ourselves in the service of the Lord. That should be our eternal service. So yes, Mahaprabhu came to personally show that as a devotee. Yes, thank you. Okay, so let's continue with our Leela So yesterday we saw, yes, Prabhupada was traveling everywhere. And also yesterday he was very happy that Chaitanya Charitamrita was published, right? 17 volumes were completed in 2 months. So perfect timing on the occasion of Gaur Purnima. Nice gift to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada was also emotional as he was saying, yes, that Mahaprabhu came and he taught us how to do Paropkar. Jivan Sarthaka Kari, Kara Paropkar. So Jivan Sarthaka Kari also, this thing that we talked about. Prabhupada says again, like, boiling the milk. We briefly talked about this yesterday. But it's nice that Prabhupada says, boil the milk. When? At what time you boil the milk? In the morning. He didn't say you boil the milk in the evening or night. No, he says you boil the milk in the morning. But this whole thing I was reflecting is so beautiful. Like you boil the milk in the morning. Throughout the day, we can drink that milk. So when we are boiling the milk, Prabhupada says it becomes thicker and richer and sweeter. So throughout the day, if we do our sadhana in the morning, then throughout the day we can meditate on the Lord, very nicely. In the night when we go to sleep, or just before we go to sleep, Prabhupada says you can make it into yogurt. So in our evening, like when we offer Gaura Arti, when we consume our prasadam, it's like yogurt. And then the yogurt is consumed, and then the part of yogurt is turned into butter. So when we go to sleep, like, we have the same meditations of the Lord, and we're churning those because what you are thinking throughout the day is what you will be dreaming about. So when you're meditating on the Lord, then in the night you can churn the butter. And when you have butter in your heart, then who comes to steal the butter? The Lord Himself comes. And then what happens? Water is separated from the butter, right? So like that, and people here in the material world, they consume all this whey protein. So for us, the protein, the Lord is giving Himself. When the yogurt is churned into butter, what is left after that is water and then ghee. So it is giving us, it is, so in the night when we are sleeping also, our body is being nourished through this water, which is like the whey protein and the ghee. So it's very nice. And on this theme, I was remembering, like I was mentioning yesterday, Prabhupada very clearly, this was a clear message in 1972 he sent. So I'd like to read this. It's very, 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 very instructive and important. Srila Prabhupada had recently brought to the attention of his GBC man disturbing new trend. Many of his disciples were not studying his books. Certainly, Prabhupada had wanted many new centers opened, but not at the expense of personal purity. Prabhupada had written to one senior disciple, "Now we shall concentrate on making our devotees Krishna conscious and not be so much concerned with expanding ourselves widely without any spiritual content." Srila Prabhupada had made an analogy, comparing study of his books to boiling down milk. Just like milk, we may thin it more and more with water for cheating the customer, but in the end it will cease to no longer be any milk. Right? Thus, the devotee's spiritual life would be thinned out more and more. Better to boil the milk very vigorously and make it thick and sweet. That is the best process. So let us concentrate on training our devotees very thoroughly in the knowledge of Krishna consciousness from our books, from tapes, by discussing always, and in so many ways instruct them in the right proposition. Since Bali Mardan and Upendra first introduced Krishna consciousness in Australia 2 years ago, devotees were daily hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from Prabhupada's original red brick colored 3 volume set of the first canto, published in India. But the daily readings simply consisted of just that one man would read and the others would listen. More recently, Srila Prabhupada's second canto was being published chapter by chapter and individually bound paperback editions. The first step in God realization, the Lord in the heart, and pure devotion service, the change in the heart, were being read each morning. So, this is a very clear message from Srila Prabhupada that we need to boil the milk. This was in 1972. So, imagine within 6 years of establishing ISKCON, Prabhupada was already satisfied with how many centers we had, how many devotees we had. He said there's no point because yesterday also, as we read, Prabhupada's main purpose of traveling was because he was being anxious that his devotees were falling down, or the fear that his devotees may fall down. And that was because if you are not being personally pure in your sadhana, in following the 4 regulative principles strictly, in chanting your round sincerely and attentively, in reading Srila Prabhupada's books, right? This is the basis. This is the basis of Krishna consciousness. If you are not doing this, and if you are doing everything else, then there is no point of doing what we are doing just for the sake of calling ourselves as being Krishna conscious. So within 6 years, Prabhupada's message was very, very clear as to what was the basis, what needs to be done by his disciples. So by reading Srila Prabhupada's books, by following the instructions that he has given us in terms of following the regulative principles and chanting the holy names attentively, we are sincerely trying to follow in his footsteps. This is called Anusaran, following the footsteps of pure Vaishnavas as Acharyas, how they have taught us to lead our lives. So, yes, this was very, very instructive. I just wanted to share that because this is for everybody, all of us, and for all the devotees of ISKCON. And multiple Acharyas, multiple Srila Prabhupada disciples have emphasized this point for the past many years. Okay, let's continue with chapter 48, At Home in India. Very nice, as we get to celebrate Gaura Purnima, Prabhupada is going back to India. Srila Prabhupada returned to India to meet Indira Gandhi and also to supervise the construction of temples at Mayapur, Vrindavan and Bombay, and also because he had a deep spiritual attraction for the holy dhams. Vrindavan was his home, Mayapur his place of worship, and Bombay his office. Srila Prabhupada said, "My only home is the lotus feet of Lord Krishna." Srila Prabhupada approved designs for temples at Hyderabad and Fiji. August 22nd, 1975. Srila Prabhupada meets the then Prime Minister of India, Indira Gandhi. Srila Prabhupada had prepared a list of things to be discussed, and topmost on the list was immigration for 500 of his Western disciples. When Srila Prabhupada met Indira Gandhi, he understood that she was fearful of her life at that point due to political turmoil and thought she was not in a frame of mind for discussion on Krishna consciousness and only requested for the immigration grant for his 500 Western disciples. And she agreed, but was full of anxiety for her life that Srila Prabhupada soon ended the talk and left. On August 21st, Rameshwar Prabhu sends a telegram to Srila Prabhupada. The last volume of Chaitanya Charitamrita is leaving for printer today. All the 17 volumes of Chaitanya Charitamrita would be ready for offering to Srila Prabhupada on his 80th Vyas Puja ceremony on August 31st. Srila Prabhupada was so pleased that he wrote back, "Your ardent desire would be fulfilled by Krishna." Jai. Srila Prabhupada received copies of the last 6 volumes of Chaitanya Charitamrita, and as he was seeing and relishing the Chaitanya Charitamrita, he said, "My spiritual master is pleased by your endeavor, and by this endeavor, you all will go back home, back to Godhead." Srila Prabhupada found discrepancies in various aspects of temple management in Vrindavan and was expressing anger. Srila Narottam Das Thakur explains how Hanuman exhibited anger against Ravan in the service of Lord Ram. Similarly, Srila Prabhupada's anger was also in service to Krishna. Spiritual master means to cut through the false ego of his disciples, and that was his mercy. Srila Prabhupada asked Vrindavan temple president why many devotees were absent for Mangala Arati. He said, "Mangala Arati is very important and everyone must attend." Srila Prabhupada said, punctuality was very important and said deity dressing should be completed in half an hour. And Srila Prabhupada used to come back from Japa walk to reach temple for darshan arti. Srila Prabhupada wanted the temple bell to ring every half hour, and it was the responsibility of the watchman and to be supervised by the leaders. But it failed in the night time, and Srila Prabhupada used to personally remind his leaders about it. Gunavarna Prabhu arranged for a wooden bracket arrangement for it, which worked for some time. Srila Prabhupada said that a qualified disciple always considers himself as a fool before the spiritual master, and therefore takes all chastisement as his mercy. Srila Prabhupada received copies of the last 6 volumes of Chaitanya Charitamrita, and as he was seeing and relishing the Chaitanya Charitamrita, he said, "My spiritual master is pleased by your endeavor, and by this endeavor, you all will go back home, back to Godhead." Jai Hari Hari Bol. Beautiful golden books of the golden avatar of Lord Shri Krishna, Chaitanya Charitamrita ki Jai, and his empowered Acharya ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada was teaching his disciples on various subject matters, how to deal with local devotees, how to cook for deities. He told Kishori Mataji, who was deity cooking in charge, to cook for Krishna as a young man with a big appetite. 10 puris, 4 chapatis, lots of rice, 2 samosas, 2 kachoris, 2 vadas, and 2 of each sweet, and all preparations to be served hot. Srila Prabhupada laid the cornerstone for Gurukul in Vrindavan with the Krishna Balaram temple, guest house, and the Gurukul. Srila Prabhupada was attracting the world to come and stay in Vrindavan, the holy abode of Lord Sri Krishna. Although inconvenient, Srila Prabhupada still travelled as he got invitations. Pushta Krishna Prabhu invited Srila Prabhupada to South Africa, and Srila Prabhupada left for South Africa. Srila Prabhupada lectured extensively in Durban and Johannesburg and said Harinam Sankirtan was the only solution for racial discrimination. He was checking if they bought his books. Then Srila Prabhupada went to Mauritius, met with the Prime Minister, who offered Srila Prabhupada a car to be at his disposal during his stay there. There was an accident, and Srila Prabhupada, Brahmanand Prabhu, and Pushta Krishna Prabhu, along with driver, were injured, and Srila Prabhupada was quiet all the while. And when they reached the temple, Srila Prabhupada asked for resin, turmeric, to be mixed with lye to be applied in the chin, hands, and legs where Srila Prabhupada was injured. Srila Prabhupada was to go to Nairobi, but Srila Prabhupada said that this accident was an indication that he should go back to India. But upon request by Nairobi temple president, the devotees would be disappointed if Srila Prabhupada did not come. Srila Prabhupada went to Nairobi, preached for a few days, and then went back to India, Bombay. Srila Prabhupada was personally supervising the Bombay temple construction and hired a professional construction company, ECC, as things were not going at speed and quality that Srila Prabhupada expected. Srila Prabhupada wanted marble for the entire temple, and it could be financed by book distribution. Srila Prabhupada discouraged all other businesses and said book distribution was good business and it was the best preaching. America had the money and India the spiritual culture. This was a combination of blind and lame men complementing and supporting each other. Next was to be Kurukshetra and Jagannath Puri. Always be dependent on Guru and Krishna, and progress will always be assured. Chapter 49, India, Unifying ISKCON. Srila Prabhupada said, all the management problems have to be managed by the GBC, as it is not one man's job, and each one had a great responsibility. Srila Prabhupada wanted to see 108 temples manifest in his lifetime, and gave the responsibility to maintain and develop them to the GBCs. The secret to this, Srila Prabhupada said, is tolerance. Srila Prabhupada wanted to finish writing all the 12 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam. He said concentration and peace of mind is required. He could not write Srimad Bhagavatam being besieged with complicated threatening issues. Srila Prabhupada quoted 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam and said, once the disciples are able to preach, the spiritual master should then go to Nirjan Bhajan, sitting in a silent place and performing devotional service to Supreme Personality of Godhead. Any problems or issues amongst the GBC and all other issues not sorted by GBC would have to wait till the annual GBC meeting to happen in Mayapur, which would be presided by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada said the best way of resolution of conflicts is to trust the GBC and stick to the decision for the whole year until the matter is discussed in the next year GBC annual meeting at Mayapur. Srila Prabhupada arrived on Jan 17, 1976 in Mayapur en route from Calcutta. He had fruits, nuts, vada, and sweets. He was enjoying the peaceful atmosphere of the Bengal countryside. Soon he would be at Mayapur Chandrodaya Mandir, his special place of worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srila Prabhupada was received with majestic opulence with lots of devotees. Srila Prabhupada cut the ribbon and made a grand entrance to Mayapur Chandrodaya Mandir, paid obeisances to deities, and seeing the arrangements and decorations, said, Lord Krishna was smiling. Srila Prabhupada wrote a letter to Secretary of West Bengal asking for land, mentioning features like investment of foreign capital in the project, flow of tourists to Mayapur, etc. The description of the project was fascinating. Srila Prabhupada called this temple of understanding, where there would be exhibits depicting all levels of universal existence, models, dioramas, murals, moving escalator to take the public to the upper levels of the exhibition building, etc. Srila Prabhupada envisioned that there would be exhibition with models based on Srimad Bhagavatam and surrounded by entrances, gardens, water reservoirs. Srila Prabhupada asked Surabhi Prabhu to make a master plan for the entire Mayapur city, and Srila Prabhupada liked the drawing and discussed animatedly for an hour with Surabhi Prabhu about it. His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj inquired to Srila Prabhupada about the standards required before a man could take sannyas. Srila Prabhupada said, Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. As soon as you fully engage in Krishna consciousness, you become more than a sannyasi. Srila Prabhupada spoke about the Hirachur and Kirachur. One steals diamond and other cucumber. Both have stealing propensity and both are criminals. Srila Prabhupada said prostitute hunters are Hirachur and householders are Kirachur. Both indulge in sense gratification, only the level is different. Srila Prabhupada said everyone has to attend Mangala Arati, else no prasadam. Srila Prabhupada called this the temple of understanding, where there could be exhibits depicting all levels of universal existence, models, dioramas, murals, moving escalator to take the public to the upper levels of the exhibition building, etc. Okay, let's pause here for today. Yes, so again, these themes of Prabhupada is always particular about his India temples, while temples are manifesting all over the world, centers around the world are growing, coming up, but Prabhupada was very particular about the BMP. I was thinking the BMV is also the Bombay, Mayapur and Vrindavan project. Like we said, Prabhupada called Bombay as his office, Mayapur as his place of worship, and Vrindavan as his home. And also BMV is a very nice acronym for Bhakti or VM, Bhakti Vedanta Marg, like we have in Vrindavan, Bhakti Vedanta Marg, where our temple is. So it's also nice that yes, Prabhupada Bhakti Vedanta Marg was also famous, and Bombay, Vrindavan, Mayapur temples are also famous. And yes, it's a true visionary. Again, that's why we say Shaktiavesh. Shaktiavesh means they are empowered acharyas with the potencies. And like we read in the prayer, Mahaprabhu has newer and newer modes of ecstasies, newer and newer energies that he's exhibiting. In every step that he's dancing, everything that he's doing. There are nine forms of bhakti, 9 limbs of bhakti as he's practicing. So like that, there are so many energies of the Lord, and only by Lord's energy, right? Krishna Shakti Vina Nahi Tara Pravartan. So without Lord's energy and potency, there is no way we can glorify and preach the glories of the Lord. So that's where we see how Prabhupada is empowered by the Lord to spread this chanting of the holy name all over the face of the planet Earth. And yeah, this the temple, the dioramas, the models, this is so easy to understand. Like visuals, like we say, pictures speak louder than words. Exhibits and models, yeah, they all help us remember, easily relate, and then remember to the pastimes of the Lord, pastimes of the acharyas. So like that. So like when we see these dramas that the devotees put up together, so we'll be having wonderful dramas this week on the occasion of Gaur Purnima by our wonderful kids and devotees. So again, the purpose of putting up these dramas are so that Prabhupada said dramas is also a form of book distribution, it's a form of preaching, because otherwise people, just by taking book, if they're not reading the book, then of course there's no point. But by presenting these various pastimes of the Lord, which are inside our scriptures, and bringing it to the audience and presenting it in forms of these dramas and exhibits and models and dioramas. It helps us remember, it helps us visualize, and it reinstates kind of, it's already there in our heart, but it's covered by the dust of Maya, the curtain of Maya. So when we present these, then it kind of reinforces and reinstates the true identity back in everybody's heart. So these are very, very important. Um, and yeah, we should support, we should even support these temples, because again, this was the vision of Srila Prabhupada, this was the desire of Srila Prabhupada, that these temples should come up. So that again, like we are saying, we are just in the very nascent stage of Kali Yuga right now. Only 5,000 years have passed since the passing, since the Lord left this mortal planet, and only 500 years since Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. So there's another 427,000 years of Kali Yuga remaining. Then this first 10,000 years is the golden period. So another 5,000 years remaining of the golden period. And the glories of the Lord have to spread to every town and village. And for the future, for the benefit of future humanity, these temples will continue to remain as beacons of spiritual light, of knowledge in the darkness of ignorance, which is only going to increase more and more as the day is passing, as we are already seeing in the last 50 years how much the world has changed. So these temples, which are the desires of our acharyas, we should try to support them. Whoever helps support building a temple, their place in Vaikuntha is reserved. That's mentioned in the Puranas. So yeah, whatever Shraddha we have, with body, mind, words, bodily, financially, we can support construction of these temples. Other day I was hearing that His Grace Ambarish Prabhu, who's the great grandson of Henry Ford, Alfred Ford. His legal name is Alfred Ford, the heir of the Ford Motors. He had given like $30 million already, and now another $10 million. Like he's matching whatever the devotees all over the world are contributing for the Mayapur temple. So that's a very nice gesture from his side. Almost $40 million he has pledged from a personal level to match the contributions of devotees. So like that, whatever our Shraddha is, even if it's $1, it doesn't matter. The value doesn't matter. It's really our Shraddha. So whatever we can to support these beautiful temples that Srila Prabhupada desired, we should do that. Okay, thank you so much. Any other reflections, comments on today's reading? Nothing? Absolutely. Nobody has anything to share. Don't keep your jewels, don't keep your love of God within your heart. Share it with others if you can. Right. Let it churn and then yes,
Prabhuji,
Mataji. Ah,
I
Mataji,
remember,
boliye.
I remember one thing that how
Yes.
the Kisori makes the food for Krishna, like the 10
Mm-hmm.
puris, vada, and that samosa.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really, when we see that Prabhupada says, with prasadam, one can influence that other people become a Krishna consciousness. It's really for that, because people are very eager for that the food only. So when we make that the prasadam, beautiful prasadam for that people, then it will automatically that the people attract to that the Krishna consciousness. I think so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, that is very true, Mataji. Ultimately, the prasadas is also
Mm.
blessing of the Lord, right? So yeah, whatever, when we consume the prasadam, we are being blessed by the Lord. It's personally
Yes.
touched by the Lord. So yes, it has a lot of power and potency. And yes, many people have been attracted and fascinated by prasadam that ISKCON temples provide. Even Steve Jobs mentioned once, like when he had lost his empire, he had lost his Apple, control of the Apple, and he had kind of literally come onto the streets, and he used to walk so many miles just to go to this ISKCON temple on Sundays for the feast. Right? And maybe that is how he was blessed again. And then later his second revival when he came back stronger. And then again eventually he came back as the CEO of Apple. But yes, so that means he was also blessed by the prasadam. And he used to look forward to every Sunday just to go to ISKCON temple to have prasadam. They're like that, yeah. There are many, many stories. Many devotees around the world I've heard. Yes, they were attracted by prasadam initially, but yes, slowly, your heart will tend to be cleaned up if you are um, steady, if you are staying sincerely on the path. Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. Okay, let's pause here for today. वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनन्तकोटि वैष्णववृन्द की जय जगद्गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.